You sat that there like, had I moved the inch, it would have just fell off and there would have been noise all over the studio. It's Monday, and I'm excited to be here. It has been a long weekend. It has been a tumultuous weekend. So I did some traveling over the weekend, and you know what? Watch this. See, here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, we're done. I did some traveling this weekend, and yeah, it was terrible. Coming back to Milwaukee was terrible. One of the reasons it was terrible because I was hearing the news over the weekend and hearing things that were happening. And one of the things they released was information and testimony on the Uvalde shooting, right? So there's an 80-page report that came out of Texas, and I'm going somewhere with this. It's an 80-page report that came out of Texas from a state senator or state representative, one of those in the state of Texas, who talked about the failures. And so when you start something out and the title of it is The Failures, well, I think that's a little disingenuous because if you're going to make it an examination and all that, but I digress. There were two things over the weekend that troubled me. Both of them had to do with people with guns. I'm not troubled because, contrary to popular belief, and I'm going to make this plain, I do not think we need to overturn the Second Amendment and add all kind of stuff and do all this other stuff and do all these other things. That's just me. But I don't think we should do it. I think we should add some policies. Each state should add some things where if you sell a gun, you got to report that to the state capital, to the Department of Justice in your state. I think we need to do that. I think that every time a gun is sold, just like a car, you should track it. Whether you agree or disagree with it, what are the three words, DZ? I don't care. But I can respect that. And so at some point, we have to recognize that just because you use the arguments that we have more guns per capita than everybody else in every other country is not us, and not every other country has a democratic republic. That's one. Most of those other countries have significantly less personal and civil rights than we do. That includes England and Canada and Mexico and any other industrialized country. We have the best country with the best rights, with the best, yet flawed, Constitution. But there are always unintended consequences. Just like there are what I like to call serendipitous consequences. Which had me think, the average person in America, what are the odds they're going to come across a situation where a gun is used? They're either going to be a victim or an actor in the use of a gun. What are the odds that you would be in a school with children like in Uvalde and you send, I don't know, hundreds of cops and 19 people still get killed? When there's a lack of personal integrity, personal leadership, and standards are non-existent. And before you talk about integrity, there's no such thing as high integrity and low integrity. You either have integrity or you don't have integrity. There's no such thing as holding the police to a higher standard. The standard are the elements that are in the crime. If you don't keep it, you didn't hold up the standard. There's no higher standard. Cops aren't held to a higher level. Don't break the law. You break the law, you go to jail. Ask Shantia Lewis. So when we make statements, even like Alderwoman, well, no, I guess we can't call her, former Alderwoman Shantia Lewis, who was found guilty today of 2 felonies for misappropriation of funds, and all that stuff, dealing with campaign finance. When you plead no contest, they find you guilty. You're guilty of 2 felonies, and you resign from office. You are removed from office. Where am I going with this? At some point, we have to recognize that we live in a city, in a country, where the odds are actually in our favor. Now, granted, if you live in Uvalde, Texas, those 19 children didn't have the odds in their favor. But this past weekend, if you were in Greenwood, Indiana, a suburb of Indianapolis, the odds were in your favor. But those are some things you'll never see. It'll pop on TV once, and then they'll find out how the killer was stopped, and you'll never hear about it again, because that tells a different tale and a different narrative about the use of a firearm. You see, when some person who's out of their mind, who's significantly in need of mental observation and institutionalization, kills 19 kids, and 400 cops, 500 cops, 600 cops sit around and do nothing, that makes the news. But in Greenwood, Indiana this weekend, a person decided enough was enough. A person decided to go to their car when a person walked into a mall and shot 3 people, injured 3 people, and was well on their way to do more after sitting in the bathroom for hours, waiting to strike. Till finally, an armed citizen shot and killed the actor in that crime. So when you ask me, if you're going to school or a mall today, what are the odds you'll survive? What are the odds you'll come out alive simply going to the mall today? Well, I don't know. If you got to wait for the cops or wait for the citizen, I don't know. I'll give those odds maybe 400 to 1.
Is Dr. Ken's Truth on the new 1017 The Truth.